report into the state of policing in England and Wales has called for urgent reforms when it comes to investigating hateful language and hate crimes. Our crime correspondent Martin Brunt is here. Martin, what are the details of this report?
Well, generally, Sir Andy Cooke has given our 43 police forces in England and Wales a pretty good bill of health. He said that there are reforms coming down the line, the government's safer streets, neighbour policing reforms that will work, he said, as long as there's more funding. And he is concerned about a lack of funding from the government. The Police Chiefs Council has identified a gap of something like 1.3 billion over the next 2 years. So even though Sir Andy Cooke says things are pretty good, they won't work properly without proper funding. So that was one overall point. But I also asked him about something that's concerned a lot of observers. And I think, like many of those, he was clearly uncomfortable at the arrest of the comedy writer Graham Linehan, very publicly arrested at Heathrow Airport by 5 armed police officers for allegedly a series of tweets that he made 4 months ago and 6,000 miles away. He said, Sir Andy Cooke suggested that officers could have used common sense and they need to differentiate between what's a crime and what's merely offensive. This is what he told me.
I'm not saying it's not wrong to actually use that language, but is it a criminal offence that needs to be dealt with by the police, or can the police deal with it differently through using it as intelligence? We need to get that balance. We need to decide what is offensive and what is criminal.
So, I mean, what this really raises as well, which I find very interesting, is the sort of rock and a hard place that the police officers might be between. Because if this was a very serious crime and they didn't act quick enough or they didn't do their job, we'd all be on them like a ton of bricks. I mean, whose responsibility is it ultimately? Is it a senior police officer in each force that instructs those officers to go out and arrest someone, or is it the individual officers? And how hard is it for them to get it right on the other way?
Well, it is difficult to get it right, and that's the point that Sir Andy makes. I mean, it's difficult to know for sure in each particular incident, whether it's a decision taken by senior officers who are directing officers on the street, or whether it's the judgment of those individual officers. I think the Heathrow incident seems to have been a decision taken by officers on the ground, because when Graham Linehan got off the plane, he was on a kind of wanted list. But, wanted lists have murderers and kidnappers and so forth. Andy Cooke's point is that even those officers on the ground, if it was their decision, they still need to use common sense. I mean, one of the problems, of course, is that common sense is usually born out of experience. And another point he makes in his report is that because there's been this huge recruitment of new police officers, 20,000 over the past few years, it was all done very quickly. There are senior officers leaving, and you've ended up with a position today of all forces in England and Wales having an average of more than 36% of officers with fewer than 5 years' experience.
That is very interesting, particularly when it comes to trying to judge social media posts as well. Martin, as always, thanks so much.